Part 1: The Veil That Shifts. When awakening becomes a trap, have you ever felt like your third eye opened too soon? Like something awakened inside you, but instead of peace, you felt a strange kind of chaos. You might have started seeing flashes of light, encountering vivid dreams, or feeling energies around you that you couldn't explain. At first it felt like a gift, didn't it? Like you were tapping into something ancient, sacred, and full of promise. But then something changed. The images became darker, the feelings more intense, and you began to wonder, is this enlightenment or something else pretending to be? We often chase the idea of awakening without understanding what it really demands from us. The third eye ajna is not just a symbol of higher sight, it is a responsibility. It doesn't just show you the divine, it shows you everything. And that includes the parts of yourself you've tried to forget. The wounds, the shadows, the ancient energies that have lived inside you undisturbed for lifetimes. When you force that eye open without preparation, you don't just let in light. You open the door to both heaven and hell. What most people don't understand is that not all third eye visions are divine. Some are echoes of your subconscious. Others are psychic residue floating in the astral field. And some are entities. Not demons in the way religion paints them, but energetic intelligences, ancient, clever, seductive, who wait for you to open that door without discernment. They don't need to possess your body. They only need access to your attention. And once they have it, they can shape what you see, what you feel, and what you believe.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
The demon behind your third eye visions doesn't show up as a monster. It shows up as a guide, a glowing being, a voice in your head that feels like wisdom. It tells you you're chosen, that you're special, that you're here to save the world. But ask yourself, does it ever ask you to be humble? Does it ever lead you towards silence? Or does it keep feeding your hunger for more visions, more power, more stimulation? The demon doesn't feed on evil. It feeds on your spiritual ego. Have you ever questioned the source of your visions? Or have you assumed that because they're mystical, they must be true? That assumption is the trap. That's the crack in your armor. And if you don't question what you're shown, you become a puppet to forces that speak your language but do not share your purpose. These entities know your wounds. They know your longings. They know how to wrap deception in beauty. And they know that if you believe everything you see, you'll never truly see anything. In ancient traditions, the third eye was sacred, not a gimmick, not a shortcut to power. It was the result of years, sometimes decades, of purification, devotion, and deep inner work. The mystics knew that the mind is a trickster, that the visions it projects are easily corrupted by desire, trauma, and illusion. That's why they emphasized humility over power, silence over spectacle. They knew that true sight doesn't come from opening the third eye. It comes from cleaning it. Ask yourself, are your visions leading you to compassion or superiority? Are they helping you connect more deeply with others, or making you feel like you've transcended them? Are they rooted in truth or in escapism? These are not questions meant to judge you. They are questions meant to wake you. Because until we learn to question what we see, we are not awakening, we are hallucinating. The demon behind your third eye doesn't want to hurt you, not in the way you think. It wants to use you. It wants to keep you distracted, addicted to visions, dependent on signs. It wants you chasing the next spiritual high so you never sit still long enough to face your real self. Because your real self is the one thing it cannot control. Your presence is its enemy. Your stillness is its death. Let me tell you a story. A young seeker once came to a Himalayan sage after months of intense meditation. He had begun seeing a radiant being in his visions, one who praised him and promised him power, status, even divine missions. The seeker felt chosen, but something in him felt off. When he told the sage, the old man asked one question: "Did the being ever ask you to surrender?" The seeker said no. "Then it is not from the light," the sage replied. "Even the gods bow to stillness." This is the truth few want to hear. Not all that glows is gold. Not all that speaks in sacred geometry is sacred. The most dangerous visions are the ones that flatter your ego while slowly disconnecting you from reality. They make you feel powerful, but steal your peace. They make you feel wise, but rob your humility. And once they've taken those things, you are no longer on the spiritual path, you're on a psychic treadmill, running in circles, chasing light that leads nowhere. How do you know if you've encountered the demon behind your visions? It always leaves a residue: anxiety, obsession, superiority, disconnection from the body, a craving for more experiences, but no peace in the present moment. It wants you to live in your head because the heart is too dangerous for it. The heart sees clearly. The heart cannot be seduced. But here's the paradox: the demon is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It shows you what you have not yet healed. It reflects the parts of you still seeking control, attention, validation. It reveals the spiritual ego that prefers power over presence. And if you have the courage to stop chasing the visions and turn inward, you'll see that the demon was never outside you. It was a mask your own pain was wearing. Are you brave enough to stop seeking and start seeing? Are you willing to sit in the silence long enough to feel the parts of you that ache, that grieve, that rage? Because those are the places the demon enters. Not because you are evil, but because you are hurt. And hurt people seek light without first learning how to carry it. That's when light becomes blinding instead of illuminating. We must protect our third eye, not with crystals or chants, but with discernment, with humility, with the willingness to not believe everything we see, no matter how mystical it feels. The true seer is not the one who sees the most visions. It is the one who can see clearly, even when there is nothing to see. The one who can sit in silence without needing a sign. The one who can say, "If there is nothing more to experience, I am still whole." Ask yourself, are your visions awakening your soul or just entertaining your mind? Are you seeking truth, or are you just addicted to the feeling of being special? Are you ready to see, or are you still seeking to escape? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are medicine. Because they bring you back to the ground, where real awakening begins. The demon behind your third eye visions is real, but not in the way you think. It is not here to destroy you. It is here to test you, to see if you are ready to stop chasing illusions and start embodying truth. And the moment you stop running toward visions and start rooting into presence, the demon has no power. Because presence cannot be deceived. Presence sees through every mask, even the ones made of light. Part 2. The Labyrinth of Light. When higher realms turn into traps, there comes a moment on every spiritual path when the visions become too vivid, too frequent, and too seductive. At first, they feel like a gift-like confirmation that your consciousness is expanding. You see colors you've never seen before, beings that shimmer beyond human form, symbols that pulse with energy. You begin to believe you're unlocking something ancient, something sacred. But what if the labyrinth you're entering isn't leading upward, but inward, deeper into the very illusion you are trying to escape? So many seekers confuse intensity with truth. Just because something feels powerful doesn't mean it's real. Just because something is happening in your inner world doesn't automatically make it divine. This is where the demon thrives, in the gap between sensation and wisdom. It doesn't need to lie to you outright. It simply amplifies your desires, your fears, your longing for meaning, and wraps them in spiritual language. It doesn't take your soul, it takes your focus. And in the realm of subtle energy, focus is everything. When your third eye opens, your mind gains access to a multi-dimensional bandwidth. You don't just pick up on thoughts, you pick up on frequencies, archetypes, patterns, and presences. But without grounding, without inner silence, you can't differentiate between psychic noise and spiritual signal. This is the danger. You may begin to trust every image, every whisper, every presence that appears, but the demon knows how to wear the mask of a guide. It knows how to speak in your inner voice. It knows how to make you believe that every vision is sacred, even when it's just a loop of your own unresolved wounds. Have your visions ever led you to isolate from others? To believe you're seeing something others are too blind to see? That you're evolving faster than your friends, your family, your community? That may feel empowering, but it's also a sign. Real wisdom humbles you. Real sight connects you. Real awakening makes you more human, not less. The demon behind the third eye wants the opposite. It wants you alone, inflated, and obsessed. Because in that state, you become a battery. You feed it with your attention, your energy, your belief in its illusions. There is a difference between seeing and interpreting. Most people don't understand this. The third eye can show you an image, a symbol, a being, but your mind is the one that interprets it. If your mind is still full of trauma, ego, fantasy, or longing, then your interpretation will be distorted. And this is the loophole the demon uses. It doesn't need to give you false visions. It only needs to let your unhealed self misinterpret them. And once that happens, you build an entire spiritual framework on a foundation of illusion. Have you ever noticed how some people become more unstable after their awakening? They begin speaking in riddles, referencing visions no one else can verify, claiming to have access to secret knowledge. This is not enlightenment. This is spiritual psychosis. And it often begins with an innocent desire to open the third eye. The demon doesn't care about your enlightenment. It preys on your confusion. And once you confuse spiritual experiences with spiritual maturity, it has you. You must ask yourself, am I using my spiritual gifts to deepen my soul or to escape my humanity? Because the third eye is a tool, not a destination. It is a lens, not a throne. It's there to help you see clearly, not to make you feel superior. The moment you begin to think you're above others because of what you see in meditation or dreams, the demon has planted its seed. And that seed grows quickly, because the ego loves to wear spiritual clothing. Do you feel more peaceful after your visions or more anxious? Do you feel more connected to love or more obsessed with decoding symbols and signs? These are the questions that separate the grounded mystic from the deluded seeker. The demon doesn't care about your language, whether you use the terms downloads, ascension, or activation. It only cares that you're distracted, that you're chasing the next experience, the next answer, the next thrill. Because in that chase, you are not here. And if you're not here, you are vulnerable. Let's go deeper. The demon behind third eye visions is a shapeshifter. It can appear as a divine mother, an ancient god, a galactic being, or even as a version of your higher self. It knows your myths. It knows your myths. It knows your beliefs. It knows how to mimic the feeling of sacredness. But if you look closely, you'll find that its messages always serve your ego, not your soul. It tells you what you want to hear. It flatters you. It excites you, but it never humbles you. And anything that never humbles you is not from the light. Real spiritual visions often come with discomfort. Not because they're dark, but because they reveal your resistance to truth. They show you where you are still clinging, still grasping, still pretending. They don't make you feel special. They make you feel real. They strip away your masks, not polish them. And that's how you know. The visions that awaken you will always lead you back to presence, to humility, to love, not to hierarchy, drama, or obsession. Let me ask you something deep. When was the last time you questioned your most powerful vision? Not denied it, but questioned it. Sat with it. Felt into it. Asked, is this truth, or is this what I want truth to look like? That's where real wisdom begins, not in seeing more, but in questioning what you already see. Because the third eye doesn't just reveal, it reflects. And if your inner world is unexamined, it will reflect your fantasies, your shadows, your unconscious desires. It's easy to be seduced by what glows. But the true path is not about more light, it's about clearer light. Not more visions, but deeper understanding. We don't need to see more. We need to see through the illusion, through the glamour, through the noise. And to do that, we must become still, disciplined, rooted in silence. Because only in silence can we hear the voice that doesn't speak in symbols but in truth. You don't need to fear the demon behind your third eye. You need to recognize it. You need to call it out. Not with anger, but with clarity. You need to look it in the eye and say, I see you. I know what you are. You are not my enemy. You are my mirror. And then you integrate. You transmute. You take back your power, not by rejecting your visions, but by discerning them. By becoming the seer, not the seeker. Remember this. The greatest gift of the third eye is not what it shows you, but what it teaches you to see without it. When the eye closes, when the visions fade, when the silence returns what remains. If your wisdom disappears without the spectacle, it was never wisdom. If your peace vanishes when the visions end, it was never peace. The goal is not to live in visions, but to live in truth. So I challenge you now. What illusions are you still clinging to? What part of you needs to feel chosen, special, enlightened? What if you are already whole, already divine, without needing to see anything at all? Could you still walk the path if the vision stopped tomorrow? Could you still love the mystery without needing to control it? This is where the real path begins, not in what you see, but in who you become when there's nothing left to see. The demon behind your third eye visions doesn't want you to realize that, because once you do, it loses its grip, and you begin to move from illusion to illumination. Part 3, the final gate, from illusion to illumination. There comes a quiet moment on the spiritual journey, not loud, not dramatic, where you begin to realize something profound. Most of what you were chasing wasn't truth. It was identity. It was escape. It was something to fill the aching silence inside. Maybe that silence terrified you. Maybe the absence of visions felt like failure. But eventually, you learned this. The silence is the teacher you were avoiding all along. The final gate is not about seeing more, it's about needing less. And when you finally stop needing to see, that's when you truly begin to see. We've traveled far together through this mystery, but we're not done yet. Because the demon behind your third eye visions doesn't just live in your meditations or dreams. It lives in your interpretations. It lives in your spiritual language. It hides in your beliefs about awakening. It whispers in the subtlest tones. You're special. You're ahead. Others won't understand you. Keep going deeper, away from the world. But the deepest truth is always paradoxical. You go inward not to escape the world, but to return to it more whole. If your visions pull you away from life, they are not the light. They are the bait. Have you ever noticed that the most awakened individuals rarely talk about their powers? They don't boast about their third eye. their visions, their downloads. Why? Because they've seen beyond that. They've realized that real awakening is not about what you see, it's about how you live. It's about how you speak to others, how you listen, how you carry the weight of your being with humility. Real mystics are not floating in the clouds. They are rooted, present, clear-eyed, and often silent. Because they know the deeper the vision, the fewer the words. The demon thrives in complexity. It wants you entangled in symbolism, decoding signs, addicted to messages from the universe. But the universe doesn't need to be cryptic. God doesn't need to speak in riddles. Truth is simple. It may not be easy to face, but it's always simple. Love, presence, compassion, clarity. These are not glamorous. They won't get you millions of views on social media, but they are the foundation of real spiritual power. And the demon can't stand simplicity because simplicity exposes it. Let me ask you something piercing. Would you still be on this path if no one ever acknowledged your gifts? If no one ever watched your videos, liked your posts, or validated your visions, would you still seek truth? Would you still meditate? Would you still pray? If the answer is no, then perhaps you haven't been seeking truth. You've been seeking attention, meaning, identity. And that's okay, many of us start there. But the way forward is to admit it. Because the moment you admit it, the spell breaks. The demon begins to lose its grip. The third eye is not inherently dangerous. It is sacred. But like any sacred tool, it becomes dangerous when used without integrity. It is a microscope into your soul. And if your soul is full of unprocessed pain, that's what it will show you again and again until you face it. The demon is not here to destroy you. It's here to reveal you. It's here to strip away the false saints, the spiritual masks, the cosmic ego trips. And when it's done, when you've faced every layer of illusion, what remains is something terrifyingly beautiful. You without the visions. You without the stories. You without the need to prove anything. Just presence, just being, just love. And that is the one thing the demon cannot imitate. It can imitate light. It can imitate knowledge. It can imitate bliss. But it cannot imitate unconditional love. Because love does not need to be seen. It does not need to be worshipped. It simply is. The final test of awakening is not what you see during meditation. It's how you act afterward. Are you more patient with your partner? More honest with your friends? More grounded in your daily life? Or are you floating further away from the world, convinced of your superiority, needing others to affirm your visions? You must ask this again and again, because the path is not one moment of awakening. It's 1,000 moments of remembering, and the demon will test them all. There's a reason the old mystics warned against premature awakening. They knew that if you open the third eye before opening the heart, you'll see without compassion. And sight without compassion becomes judgment. It becomes separation. It becomes obsession. And that's how the demon wins, not by terrifying you, but by convincing you that you're enlightened when you're just spiritually inflated. So what do you do now? You stop chasing. You stop forcing. You stop needing. And you start listening, not to the visions, not to the voices in your head, but to the stillness beneath all of it. The stillness that doesn't need to speak in symbols. The stillness that asks nothing of you but your presence. That's where true vision begins, not in the pineal gland, but in the silence of the soul. If you want to protect yourself from the demon behind your third eye, here is the path. Ground daily. Walk barefoot. Breathe deeply. Eat real food. Live in your body. Question everything you see, even if it feels divine, especially if it flatters you. Serve others. Real spirituality expresses itself in action, not just insight. Embrace your humanness. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to transform it, starting with yourself. Return to simplicity. The more complex your path becomes, the more likely you are being led astray. And above all, love. Not the love that needs to be seen, not the love that performs, but the quiet, fierce, unshakable love that remembers, I am already whole. I do not need to see more. I only need to be more. You are not broken. You are not lost. You do not need to prove your awakening to anyone. The third eye is not your identity. It is a doorway, and what lies beyond it is not a realm of visions, but a return to wholeness. You don't walk through it with your ego. You walk through it with your soul. So now I ask you one final question. What are you willing to let go of in order to finally see clearly? Not with your third eye, but with your heart. Because in the end, the only thing that truly sees is love.